Well, what do you know? Another weekend, more rain. I guess that's just the nature of this time of year in the South, but the show must go on. I keep getting questions about my thoughts on the MST RMX 2.0, and even though a guy with barely any experience or knowledge on rear-wheel drive drifting probably isn't the best person to ask, I figured I'd do a short-term review, I guess you could call it. I'll try to give you an idea of what I like and don't like about the car from the perspective of someone who is brand new to the world of drifting. So let's get started. Before we begin, I'd just like to reiterate how new I am to all of this. I'm hoping my drifting videos will help someone like me that's intrigued by rear-wheel drive drifting, but knows nothing about it. If you are experienced and know what you're doing in the drifting world and somehow stumbled upon this video, well, I hope I give you a good laugh at least. And maybe you could leave a comment down below to help me and anyone else new to the drifting scene. So let's start off with what I like. And the first thing is pretty obvious. The level of detail and finish on the body still amazes me coming from an RTR. Now, it has a few more scratches on it, but I'd like to call those learning marks. All of the scale details are really cool and leave some room for personalization. And I'm happy to report that no matter how hard I hit the curb or wall, I didn't lose or break anything off the body. I guess kinda going in order, I also really like the battery mounting system. 2 small body clips and you can remove the small plastic door to slide the battery in and out. I guess it's a little more difficult than Velcro, but it's also really secure, which I like. Plus you can install or remove the battery from either side of the car. I did end up taking the transmission out one time so far, and it's actually pretty easy to work on and really simple, which is nice. The spur gear drives what's basically a differential pinion gear, which mates with another pinion that spins the ring gear on the locking spool, and that's it. It's a really simple transmission, if you can even call it a transmission. The plastic chassis and these 2 horizontal stiffeners, I guess I'll call them, keep the car pretty light. I'm not sure if that's good for drifting or not, but so far I like the fact that the car is on the lighter side. I really want to tell you the electronics are perfect in the car, but to be honest, that's just how they feel to me. The motor and ESC feel like they put out more than enough power for the car, but I really have no idea, being this is the only rear-wheel drive drift car I've ever driven. Moving on to a couple of things I don't particularly care for. The servo feels too fast. I'm not sure if that sounds right or if I'm not thinking about this right, but from the first time I drove the car, I turned down the steering endpoints and dual rate because I felt like it had way too much steering. Then a lot of you guys commented saying I needed to turn the steering down even more. For reference, I run the dual rate on my drag cars at about 30% give or take, as that's a car that's not supposed to turn and you definitely don't want to turn too fast at high speeds. This car, I've been running steering at about 60%, double the drag cars, but this thing is supposed to turn, and yet it still feels too fast. Next up is the shocks. Maybe I have a lot to learn and adapt to, but I feel like the suspension is way too soft, almost like there's no oil in the shocks. Admittedly, I haven't experimented much with the shocks on the car yet, but the factory setup feels too soft and springy. Maybe someone with more experience can let me know if it should be this way or what. The suspension sort of ties into the next problem I have with the car, and that is the body positioning. You can see I use some foam to give the body something to rest on and hold it tight to the post. But it still seems like it's always dragging the ground or rubbing the wheels when I'm drifting, even though I think it's at a good height. Once again, maybe someone can give me some advice on this. My last gripe is more of a situation problem, I guess, but I haven't found a tire that I'm happy with yet. As you've seen in my videos so far, I mostly drift on concrete. It's not polished or super smooth concrete, but it's not all rough and bumpy either. The original tires lasted me about a pack and a half, and then I switched over to these MST red compound, I guess, tires. They seem to be lasting a bit longer, but both sets feel too loose. Like I don't have enough traction and the car spins out too often. I have a set of Yokomo DRA tires that are supposed to be for asphalt, but haven't had a chance to try them yet. I've been thinking about maybe trying a rubber tire as well. Maybe like a really hard rubber that'll last longer and give me a little more traction. I'd like to know if you think that would work or if you have any suggestions on tires. My overall impressions of the car after a few months now are still quite good. It's a really good platform for someone new to drifting like me and at a pretty good price. At the time of this video, unfortunately, they are pretty hard to find. The pandemic has made it pretty hard to get a lot of stuff in the RC industry, but slowly we'll start seeing more and more things available again, hopefully soon. As for upgrades, I'm not really planning on upgrading the car just yet. I still have a lot to learn in drifting and don't want to throw a whole bunch of money at the car when I could use it for other projects. I do have some plans for a custom body though. I already picked up a set of fender flares, so now I just need to decide between a couple of bodies. Before I end this video, I want to point out that we reached 100,000 views on a video recently. When I started this channel, I never imagined 100,000 people watching all of my videos combined, much less that many views on a single video. So thank you for helping us reach that milestone. I appreciate the continued support, all the likes, new subscribers, and comments. But that's it for this video. As always, thanks again for watching. Peace.